it's been a long haul, but we're on the home stretch now, folks. The trailer's loaded pretty heavy on this trip. We got the log splitter with us, lumber, furniture, and tools. And the Jeep, it's packed to the roof with a whole bunch of other must-haves. We're moving in little by little. Leveling the floor was a tedious job, a job I didn't enjoy. I figured it would be a good investment of my time, and it was. Having a level plane to pull dimensions from was a rarity in this old place. But the hours invested in the floor were saving me time now. I measure it once, cut it once, and everything was fitting together like it should. The camp is coming into it. With the drywall all hung, I got busy with the mudding and taping and textured everything to give it that rustic look that I like. The upstairs bedroom is completed now and ready for furnishings. I drilled a bunch of holes in the new wall studs and a whole bunch more in the old ones. Then I ran wires everywhere and beyond so that I could enjoy the convenience of electric light even though we're a long ways off the pavement. The place is looking pretty cozy now, even if I do say so myself. I removed enough mouse-riddled insulation to choke a horse and replaced it with new stuff after evicting the mice. We should be pretty snug come winter. This restoration's been an awful lot of work, but I've enjoyed the process. It's been a steady forward progression from project to project while Frankie waits patiently for a throw. Although that frisbee is looking about as worn out as I am. Folks been asking how Frankie likes the new lake property, and I'll let him speak for himself on that one. That's if you can ever get him out of the water. A lot of people write to me asking me questions about building cabins. There's a big interest in building cabins now. And that's great because having a cabin, a little place to escape to is just fantastic. Can really do a body good. But a lot of folks don't really know what they're doing. They're like where I was when I built my first cabin. I wanted a cabin. There was nobody to build me one. I just started building one with little to no knowledge. So I just want to show you a little point here that if it's done incorrectly, it can cause a lot of problems. So I just want to show a couple little tidbits of information while I'm in the process. If you insulate your roof, the roof system needs to breathe. If you're heating the building continuously through the winter, this is a very, very critical factor. If you just take your insulation and stuff this, eventually your insulation is going to warm all the way through. I don't care how much insulation you put here. The heat will transfer through it to a point. The cold air is going to come through these boards, and where the two meet, it's going to cause condensation. That condensation is going to roll down the insulation. It's going to gather on the top plate of your wall, and it's going to cause problems. If it happens continuously, it's going to work its way down. It's going to get trapped at the sill, and you're going to rot your sill. Probably going to end up with a bunch of mold, a lot of stuff you don't want going on. This prop vent that I'm putting in is holding the insulation away from the roof. That way, if I have any heat loss, with a vent at the bottom at the eave, and I'm going to cut a vent up at the ridge, any heat that gets through my insulation will get sucked up like a vacuum and exit out the ridge, allowing the roof to stay cold, and that will eliminate the problem. Without allowing the roof to vent, if you have heat loss, it will melt the snow on top of the roof, and that's going to drip down to the eave where it's not heated. It will freeze, and then it's going to create an ice dam, and that's going to keep on backing up. The water's going to back up underneath your shingles. Then you're going to have a leak at the top of your wall. A lot of houses that aren't vented properly, you will see the sheetrock in the ceiling has stains in it up near the top of the wall because of that. When I'm installing my proper vent, I start from the top first. I work my way down and I overlap it this way. That way, if there is any moisture, it's going to act like a shingle effect and it's going to work its way down and drip through my soffit vent. If you put it the other way, it's going to work its way down and it's going to leak out. So I'm going to insulate it, then I'm going to strap it 16 on center, then the sheetrock, and that'll do. One of the earlier episodes in this series, I was showing how I need to cut a lot of trees here in the backyard, let some sun in. I've been tackling that a little at a time, working on the camp for a bit. Then to break up the monotony, I'll take a tree or two down, clean it up, get back at it. That's what I'm doing today, just taking a break from the upstairs project, taking down a few trees. It's been a bit of a problem because here in the yard it's very thick with trees. There's not much room for anything to fall down. I got these big pines. I don't want to take the pines down right now. I want to wait until I'm ready to mill them up, and I have a piece of equipment here so I can get all the logs in a pile. I don't want everything laying around helter-skelter. But because the pines are in the way, I don't have a lot of room to get the trees to fall down. All the branches are going to want to hang up. The branches of the maple are going to want to get hung up in the pines. And I got a few of these maples that are real problems, and I'll show you. Like this maple here, it's all rotted there. It's a very weak spot. And there's no place for it to go. I think after I take those two maples down, I'm going to try and get it right through that slot. But it's going to want to get hung up in that pine. And I'm fearful that that might break and fall this way. But we'll see. That'll be the last one to take down. So what I'm going to do first here is I got a maple right near the camp here. It's got a rotted issue like that. Narrow slot. So I'm going to get the notch cut, start on the back cut, have Lori pulling on the come along, and I'll cut a little bit and she'll keep cranking it down and should be able to take it down without any issues. The old wood shed, I'm going to take that down, then I'm going to replace that with a new shed, and I want to do that real soon. I'm going to get started on the trees here. Before I do so, I want to say thank you, Smitty. My buddy Smitty in Kentucky sent me a new helmet. Real good practical gift that I can use. Very thoughtful, much needed. The other one was falling off my head. This one's already saved my noggin from a couple of wax sticks falling down, stuff like that. So thanks again, Smitty. Very thoughtful present. I'm going to get to work. Well, that lets some sun in the yard. Love it. Putting up firewood is a lot of work, but it can be downright pleasurable when you got good help around. I've never found any pleasure in turning a thermostat. I split the logs while Lori and Frankie did the cleanup, and that's a win-win for everyone involved. I'm doing what I love and loving what I do. There's no life like the cabin life.